Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I want to turn you on to a great book for kids, and we need books like this with all these, so many different devices, diversions that children have. It's great to have a book that they can take away life lessons, but also lessons about our environment and our ecology. That book is Jack Sprout in Beaver Creek Meadow. And we've been talking with the author for the last number of weeks about this book. Lots of lessons learned here. And by the way, if you're a parent, educator, maybe you're connected to a library, definitely check it out at jacksprout.com. Here is the author. Author Jack Shoop is back with us. Hi, Jack. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, great to have you back here. And we're going chapter by chapter in the book. And we've been spending a lot of time on the land with Jack Sprout. We're going to jump in the water, it seems like, in chapter 7, right?
Yeah, right. That's part of the whole scenario. That's part of the environment. I'm going to talk about Oliver Otter, who patrols the shoreline down at the end of Big River.
Gotcha. Before we even dig in, when you were planning the book, and side note here, this isn't just a whim where Jack said, "Man, I'm gonna write a book. I'll have it done in like I don't know, maybe 6 weeks and have it published." This goes back decades in terms of his life journey and a lot of the lessons here in the book. How did you plan it out? I'm always fascinated in terms of content, how that journey took place. Like, Jack Sprout meets Oliver Otter in chapter 7. How'd you decide, to make that chapter 7?
Yeah, it's basically putting one foot in front of the other one. So when I started, I thought, well, I'm going to, I was growing sprouts for a side hustle and, in dirt. So I was a farmer and delivering my produce to the stores. So I kind of followed that along to get started. And then, so I needed building, I needed lumber, I needed seed, I needed soil, I needed all these things. And then, so I created an area to have all this happen in. And I created Beaver Creek Meadow because the beavers created the meadow, right? So I call it Beaver Creek Meadow. So this story here, it just happens, the beaver created the pond. The pond led into a stream. And, I was living on the West Coast. So the stream goes into the ocean. That was just an extension of where I was living. So, the water is like what, 90% of the world. Water is very important. It rains, it collects, it drains, it's got to go somewhere. So this is where the Beaver Creek Meadow has the beaver ponds from the mountain streams, and then it goes into a creek. Well, that creek has to go somewhere. So this is just an extension of where water goes, basically.
Beaver Creek, the meadow, all of this, does this come from your memory and experiences that you had?
Well, I grew up in the Midwest where everything was corn and soybeans. So I didn't have rivers and creeks and mountains. But I did live in Colorado for 4 years, so I got to know mountains pretty well. So by the time I wrote this, I had been to all but 3 states, so I know the terrain of almost every state. Of course, I lived in Hawaii for 30 years. So by the time I really got down and wrote the book, I had been exposed to a lot of different terrains and water. Water to me it's funny because I'm not a water guy. I don't like swimming. I don't like surfing. I don't like boating or anything.
Coming from a man who lived in Hawaii, just saying.
Yeah, I know that. My son's all that though. He's all about it. But I don't know. I just really understand water. It rains. Like every time they pour cement in Ohio, more water gets into the Mississippi River. Okay. So it's all related. And water flows, it flows downhill. It goes where the heck it wants to go. And I think water is very, to say it's important is kind of an understatement, but it's kind of cool to watch where water go, what it does. It goes where it wants to. And we
Mm.
have to allow it to do that. And if we start pouring cement and putting up dams and seawalls and everything, it's not going to work. So,
You have to have respect for the water in every way. And here's an example. Had a conversation with somebody I know who actually two different people in different states where they had a leak. And it's amazing where water will go and the damage it can cause
yeah.
in a very short period of time. And of course, if you're in the ocean or a large body of water, you have to respect that too.
Oh, yeah. I've always loved listening to old guys. And when I was at my daddy's knee height, they'd be talking to guys and you're down there listening. And at one time, some farmer or somebody said, well, water always runs downhill. And that lit me up like a light bulb. I go, wow, that's true tomorrow. That's true every day. That's a truth. And there aren't very many truths that are true every day.
Mm-mm.
But that hit me as like a 5, 6 year old. I go, wow, that's true. That's so
Yeah.
anyway, there's some truths out there that are like you say, water goes everywhere. It goes to the least resistance and it'll
Yeah.
crawl and creep and creep. It might leak over here, but it comes down over there. And
Look
so
at
yeah,
and look at the impact last summer when there were the storms in the South, but they also made their way into North Carolina. You
yeah.
had flooding in biblical portions, like they've never had flooding in this one county, but it came off the mountains and huge walls of water. No one literally figuratively saw that water coming. So you gotta have a lot of respect for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that Highway 40 through North Carolina, West Virginia, it just wiped out. And people don't understand, when I say wiped out, there's no road, there's no gravel, there's no foundation. It's not
Done.
like you just go back and pave it over. It's you got to start from scratch.
To your point here, where I live, I'm Long Island, New York. Just another memory. There was a storm last year, and there's this huge, I mean, huge ponds, so many fish, wildlife. I took my kids over the years, lots of great memories. Storm came along and washed out a road, tiny road, not a big deal. The road
Yeah.
leads to the sound, blasted the road apart. That entire pond just released and went into the sound. And
Oh,
now it was a bed of mud with fish floundering, dying, wildlife looking for homes. It's going to be quite some time, years before they can rebuild that. But
yeah.
again, like things you never expect, we take it for granted. Well, that road's there and that's not going anywhere. Yeah, guess we took it out, water.
Yeah. Water.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig in chapter 7.
Okay, we're going to go down Big River. We're going to meet three new characters. Here's Oliver Otter. He's out there in the ocean, laying on his back. And then here's Captain Barry, Big Brown Bear.
Hmm.
And then we have Red Tail McAllister, who's a red tail hawk.
Gotcha.
So he soars in the sky all day long. So anyway, last time we talked was at early Worms Farm, and Jack's getting all of his materials ready to build his farm. So he went to see Pierre Latrue. He works at the power plant, and he goes, "Hi Pierre, what are you working on?" Fred Beaver asked me to help him design the new smaller dam and pond he's building. The wetlands have been dry this summer, and we need to send more water down there. He'll need more water for your farm too. How's it going anyway? Well, I'm ready to start building. Will you drop the plans for my new farm using your passive solar design? I'd love to, but I have to finish Fred's project first. Do you have all the materials lined up? I sure do. I found the lumber, the power, the soil, the seed, the builders, and the heavy lifters. All I need now are the plans, and I'll round up all the neighbors. Pierre goes, have you stockpiled the river rock yet? What do I need river rock for? I asked. Holy moly. Do I have to tell you everything? I don't want any more rocks on my farm, I argued. I've been trying to get rid of them. I'll put river rocks on the floor of your greenhouse and in parts of your farmhouse, he said. The sun will shine on them during the day and warm them up. The rocks will release their heat at night to keep your greenhouse and farmhouse warm. It's free energy from the sun. It's good for you and good for Beaver Creek Meadow. Okay, where do I find this river rock? Wait, don't tell me. In the river. That's right, Jack Sprout. Hey, you're learning. Beaver Creek joins up with some smaller creeks and streams just west of the West Woods. They all flow together to create a deep, wide river called Big River. Oliver Otter is a silver-colored otter with a very important job. He's a great swimmer and patrols our shoreline where Big River meets the ocean. Ask him where to get the best river rock. You don't take anything around here unless you ask. You should take the tugboat. It can haul heavy loads. Down on Beaver Creek docks, you'll find Captain Barry. He's a tall, stout, smart-looking, and very strong brown bear. He has fine, short fur, long arms, and green, soft bear eyes. He's the captain of the waterways around Beaver Creek Meadow, and everyone respects him. We call him Captain Barry because if we don't get there first, he'll eat all the berries on the hillsides. Captain Barry also takes his neighbors on camping trips up in the Northeast forest. And he shows them, they want to get out into nature and hear all the sounds of nature and see all the wild animals and everything. But when he goes up there, his friends say, now, Captain Barry, don't tell him your ghost story. We got new people and we don't tell them ghost stories to scare them away. He goes, oh, okay, I'll try not to. But he always does tell it. They'll be talking, he'll say, hey, that reminds me of a story I have. So he'll tell the ghost story. You want to hear it?
Please do.
You want to hear the ghost story?
Yes.
I don't want it to stick in your mind. I don't want it to stick in your head now. So anyway, he goes, Canberra, every campfire, he'll tell the same ghost story. He goes, a long time ago, lumberjacks were cutting down a lot of trees. And they were cutting down so many trees that we kind of had to stop them. They say, you can't cut down the trees in this area, that area. So they were getting restricted on what they could cut. So when you go up and you're camping at night, you hear creaks, you hear sticks breaking, you hear brush, wondering what's going on out there. So Captain Barry says, the ghost of the lumberjacks are walking through the woods with their axes looking for trees to cut down. And that's the sounds you hear at night in the forest. So that's his, he always tells it. They tell him not to, but he does. So I went to the docks where Captain Barry is washing one of his boats and he yells hello. He says, hi, Jack Sprout. Come on down, but watch yourself. It's slippery around these docks. I've heard you've been gathering the materials you need to build your farm. He says, I have everything I need except for the river rock. Will you take me to see Oliver Otter? River rock? What do you need river rock on a farm for? Well, that's what I said. Pierre told me to get him anyway. No problem, said Captain Barry. I'll use a powerful, shallow-bottom tugboat I call the Little Dude to take us to Oliver's Beach. So they took off, and Jack realized he had never seen Beaver Creek Meadow from the middle of the creek before. So he's looking at he was going by the farms and houses, and everybody would wave because they wanted to hear the horn of the Little Dude. So he blew the horn 3 times, and everybody loved it. So they were very, very popular. So they were getting close to the mouth of the big river, and Captain Barry said, just past the woods, other creeks from up north and streams from the mountains flow into Big River. There'll be some rough water for a minute or two, and then it'll be smooth. Just then, a large shadow raced over the tugboat. I looked up and saw a powerful hawk with brown feathers, a red tail, and large talons soaring low over our heads. Look out, there's a giant hawk, I said. Captain Barry didn't even look up. That's not just any hawk, that's Red-tailed McAllister, the red-tailed hawk. So that's Red-tailed McAllister. I've heard about him. That's him, said Captain Barry. He's my guide. He's everyone's guide. He watches over Beaver Creek Meadow. He warns us if there's any trouble coming our way, like bad weather or high winds. He likes to follow me on my trips to the ocean. He'll fly ahead and warn me of any logs in the water or new waterfalls, stuff like that. How does he warn you? I asked. He has several dives. He has the one-wing dive, the flutter, the buzz, the whirlybird, folded wing drop, backslide, all kinds of dives. Each one tells a story. The folded wing drop tells us a big rain is coming. The flutter means snow, and the whirlybird means strong winds. When the land he watches over doesn't get treated with respect, though, look out. We all know the story of the day Red-tailed McAllister stole the air out of Beaver Creek Meadow. We almost died. It taught us a very valuable lesson. What's the lesson? I asked. If we want to stay alive and growing, we need to keep our meadow alive and growing. I'll tell you this story sometime. Red-tail's a very powerful and spirited bird. So that's kind of one of their warning systems that they have. Everybody, they will look up in the sky and red-tail will tell them what's going on. So they went on down the river, and then Captain Barry finally pulled over to the bank and dropped me off. This is as far as I can go. You'll have to find Oliver Otter near the beach at the end of the river. He patrols the area where the river meets the ocean. Hurry up, I want to get back before it gets dark. On the shoreline, I could see something floating in the water. I went down to the sandy beach to get a better look. It was an otter, all right, but it didn't look like it was patrolling. It had small hands, tiny ears, big eyes, and a long, furry body. It was floating on its back and throwing clamshells up in the air. It looked like it was just playing to me. Hello, are you Oliver Otter? I asked. Yeah, I'm Oliver. You must be Jack Sprout. Yeah, that's me. How did you know? Those big green ears are a dead giveaway. My ears were coming in handy. Everyone knew me, and I was learning a lot just by listening. You must be here for the River Rock, said Oliver. Pierre always sends me the new builders when they start out. When they start out, the Red Fox is smart one. You should listen to him. I do. I thought you'd be patrolling today. Looks like you're just having fun. I am having fun, but I'm also patrolling. We otters have fun when we work. That's a new look on work. Our job is to warn the sea coral, crawfish, shrimp, oysters, lobsters, and other sea critters when Big River gets muddy so they can hide. Sometimes Beaver Creek Meadow gets more rain than it can hold. The mud runs into the creeks and streams that feed Big River and flows down here to the ocean. I can walk up on dry land, but our ocean friends can't. Some swim out to cleaner water and some hide under rocks. The ocean's waves take the muddy water away, but it's bad for a while. We also help whales or seals get free if they're washed ashore. We've saved swimmers from undertow currents and surfers who get knocked off rogue waves. It's pretty busy down here. Anyway, the last bit in the river before you got here has the best rock. The river slows down there to turn, and the rocks drop to the bottom. Those rocks have been rocked and rolled for so long they've become round and smooth. I'd help you, but I don't throw river rock. Besides, I have to keep patrolling. I'll be there to help when it's time to build your farm. I raced back to the riverbank, the tugboat, told Captain Barry where to get the rock. He drove back to the last bend in the Big River and gracefully backed the tow barge right over the round, smooth river rocks. Okay, we should be able to pick up the river rocks from here, I said. Who's we? Asked Captain Barry. I'm a boat captain, not a rock thrower. We're here to help you, Jack Sparrow, but you have to do the work yourself. I've heard that one before. I jumped in Big River and started throwing rocks like crazy. The water was icy cold and I had to work fast. I threw rocks and threw rocks and threw some more rocks. It took a long time, but I didn't stop throwing river rock until that barge was fully loaded. We turned the little dude around and headed home. Great job, Ken Barry. You're a hard worker. you'll make a great farmer. So they make it all the way back, and then Jack took a little nap on the way back. He was wore out. Was that a smooth trip? I asked, not really. I saw Redtail McAllister do a roll dive a couple times. I had to steer around some runaway logs. Good thing he flew along with us. Better have the long-necked shorebirds, who do all the heavy lifting, better have them come get these heavy rocks. If we leave tow bloated all night, it'll sink for sure. So I went to the shorebird's office, said hi to Mona, the little blue heron secretary. I told her what I needed, and she says, no problem, I'll get right on it. She said, I'm leaving early today, so when I fly to my home in the wetlands, I'll tell some shorebirds about your job. They know where your farm is and will be here late this afternoon. It was late in the day when I heard the famous work song, Whoop, whoop, whoopee. Whoop, whoop, whoopee. Whoopee and Stretch were on their way. They saw me waving and began circling downwards. I pointed to a spot to drop the river rock and ran for the east woods. I knew by now to get out of the way of those two birds when they were circling. With some flapping and yelling, diving and turning, they dropped the load of rocks on the spot of my new greenhouse to be. They said they had 3 more loads to go. If they hurried, they could be done before dark. We don't like to fly after dark, they said. That's when the night owls and the bats come out. So that's the story how Jack got his river rock with the help of, as you can see, everybody helps everybody. All the rodders taking care of the shoreline. Captain Barry's driving the boat up and down. There were the long-necked shorebirds do all the hauling around there. And Pierre Latrue tells everybody what to do about his building and everything. So that was just a day in the life of Jack Sprout when he's trying to get his farm together.
Wow. The referring to the bird flying and the different dives, and did you research that? Was that real or is that made up?
That's made up.
Okay, I believe it.
Yeah,
And
that's
you know what
made up. Yeah, like I say, I've been around and I see bird diving, but I just added it. I made that up.
the one thing that rings true for me so far, right up to chapter 7, is every member of the meadow is authentic. They're being real about who they are, about their purpose in life, and they also express gratitude. At the end there, some of the characters were thanking the others for their help and support, and so there's a lot of different things going on here. A lot of takeaways for kids, adults too.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
that's
those
probably
lessons.
my nice side.
Well, it's you don't see that a lot, and especially gratitude. They say if you really want to move your life forward, you need to show gratitude for what we have, even saying thank you. And it was right there. And I've noticed it in pretty much every chapter, being mindful of it, that's there. But also, if a character is not comfortable, one of the animals is not comfortable doing something or with a situation, they will speak up and share it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
It's very authentic, very real. This book is fantastic in many different ways. What age would you say this book is best for?
Well, it's meant to be a first reader, so 7-year-olds. But some of the information is a little more towards your 9, 10-year-olds.
Yep.
So I'd say 7 to 10.
Yeah. And I just want to put it out there again for parents, for educators. Get the book, go to the website. It's very simple, jacksprout.com. And we've talked before that, if there's an opportunity, if somebody's interested in even licensing the characters, if it makes sense,
Right.
that you would entertain that as well.
It's on Amazon too. Yeah, I think Jack Sparrow would be a good spokesman for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, right back to the qualities, it's a
Yeah.
likable character, real, respectful, authentic, shares gratitude, and curious, which kids are, and we as adults should continue to be that way as well. Thanks again for being here today, Jack. Really appreciate it, and love diving into the book. It's good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.